thank God it's Thursday. I know you're used to hearing TGIF or thank God it's Friday. But for me, it's a good day because it's close to Friday, and you know what that means, a very long weekend. Even though I know that, journalists do not have long weekends. But I think this weekend is going to be different for me. This is how I welcome you to this edition of Headline Reviews on AfroConnect TV. I'm not here alone, as always. I have my colleague who's looking dazzling today. I am talking about no other than Adewale.
For a moment, I thought you were going to say God Brain Sunday because God seems to have encapsulated a lot of attention on this program.
Because so much power.
Exactly, but it's nice to be here. It's nice to be here this morning, and with you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think that is a compliment, and I love your
it's like a
talk as well.
Actually.
Thank you, and thanks to our viewers as well for staying with us and being with us on this particular show as we go through select headlines for them.
Yeah, so there's a lot happening already. I don't know how you came to the studio today, but Wale,
exactly.
I saw hell. I saw, and I'm not even kidding. It took me a very long time to get the cab I ordered for because there's fuel scarcity in Abuja. I know about other states. There are some other states in Nigeria where we're experiencing fuel scarcity. But in Abuja, I experienced it firsthand. And I mean, prices are different. We see black market are selling between 800 to 900. I mean, yesterday, the cab I wanted to get on the road, and he was told that it is 850 in the same Nigeria where we've not had any increase in the minimum wage. We are now seeing fuel for 850, 900. And then regulated places like filling stations are selling for 600, some places 700, some places 590 if you're very lucky. But has it been
exactly, a lot of Nigerians have had things to say, and people are really suffering right now, and they're feeling bearing the brunt of the hike in prices of fuel. Not even only the hike, the scarcity of it as well.
Yeah.
Because it's perplexing for Nigerians to wake up early in the morning. The different cities in Nigeria have been rocked with the scarcity of fuel. And you mentioned a lot about the minimum wage in Nigeria when President Tinubu came in. He spoke a lot about subsidy being gone for petroleum importation in Nigeria, and a lot of people are asking questions: what are the modalities they're going to put in place? We saw you said civil servants will have reduction in one thing, they're going to be free transportation or reduced transportation for them. But look at what is happening right now for different states in Nigeria. And a lot of people are saying, okay, is it even possible to have a unified price for petroleum pump price in Nigeria? Because of course, the transportation from Lagos to other states that are not within the coastline in the country, how is it possible to transport their petroleum to them in those states? So a lot of things has to be looked into. What are the modalities the government are putting in place? Because Nigerians cannot continue to suffer. We see a lot of videos and video clips come out on social media yesterday from Ibadan, some other states where Nigerians are calling on President did I just say Muhammad Buhari? Buhari should rest. He has done enough already. But President Tinubu, he lost rest on his shoulder right now, and he must take charge and make sure that things are done in the right way. Nigerians are not completely suffering. May 29 is approaching. We have just a year of the administration, and we're feeling this a lot. We're not saying the administration is not doing enough. They're doing enough, but things have to be done to reduce the suffering, the pain Nigerians are going through.
I agree with you, Wale, because no matter how you look at it, when movement is stalled like this, it just means that the economy will suffer. It means that manpower will suffer. It means that every other thing will suffer in the country. Because I mean, people who are supposed to go to work will resume work at a very late time. And what does that mean? It means somebody who was supposed to attend an interview loses a job. What are you doing? I mean, we don't have to look at it in a big way. The little things. Somebody loses a job. Somebody who was supposed to go to the hospital becomes even, the situation gets worse. I mean, these are the things we should look at. And that is just because there's fuel scarcity. So this is an avenue to also tell the government, please do something. The citizens are suffering. No one is smiling. I never saw anyone smile today when I was coming to the office. And it's sad.
And then even as much as we talk to the government, we should also talk to Nigerians. We should not contribute to our own problems in the country. Because as of now, we are aware that some filling stations are holding their petrol. Because if the prices are going up, why exactly do you have to hold it and make sure Nigerians are suffering? You're contributing to the problem that you're creating or shouting that the federal government is creating for you. your contribution, you should look at those little ways, because in essence we are the problem of ourselves in this country, when we look at it holistically, because it's not palatable that we're having people selling at almost 800 or some filling station that you have to tip somebody before they give you a certain amount of fuel in their pump or whatever it is they call where they hold their fuel. So I think the regulatory agencies should also go around to do their job, make sure that whoever is holding fuel must be sanctioned accordingly. We can't have Nigerians suffering like this early in the morning.
Can't. So this is just to remind you, a citizen of Nigeria, a bona fide citizen of Nigeria, that the government will not do for you what you can do for yourself. So if you are holding fuel, if you need to be tipped before selling fuel, it means that you're one of the problems we have in this country. We'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, the live will continue. And we are back, and we'll be starting right with this day, where we have a story about the president.
Exactly. From this day newspaper, Tinubu okays take off of consumer credit scheme for working class citizens. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the take-off of the first phase of the consumer credit scheme for workers across the country. Consumer credit serves, is the lifeblood of modern economics, enabling citizens to enhance their quality of life by accessing goods and services upfront, paying responsibly over time. It facilitates crucial purchases such as homes, vehicles, education, and healthcare, essential for ongoing stability to pursue their aspirations. The president, according to a statement issued yesterday by his media advisor, Ajuri Ngelale, believed every hard-working Nigerian should have access to social mobility, with consumer credit playing a vital role in achieving this vision. The statement further explained that in line with the president's directive to expand consumer credit access to Nigerians, the Consumer Credit Corporation has launched a portal for Nigerians to express interest in receiving consumer credit. One thing I would like to say before we put this into a broader perspective is that President Tinubu has lived up all to most of his campaign promises. Because a lot of things President Tinubu said while he started his campaign. He talked about subsidy, that the subsidy was going to go, and it's gone. He talked about the issue of student loan for students in tertiary institutions in Nigeria. That is already been done. Now he's talking about credit, what's it called? Credit scheme for Nigerians to be able to live a fulfilled life, as he called it. And now that has been done. One thing I can say is that this is a man that you can hold to his words, and when politicians like him are on their campaign trail, they are saying a lot of things that they want to do. I think we begin to hold them account and see, is this person the type of person I want to vote for? Will his policies really affect me? Because gone are the days when we used to have politicians come on and say a lot of things that would never materialize. But when we begin to see that these are policies that they have campaigned on and they are implementing them, then we can't be able to decide if this is the government I want to go for, another government I want to go for. So that's on that. Another thing we must say about this credit scheme is that this is a scheme where Nigerians will have to be credited. They'll have to owe money. They have to purchase. There's a lot of benefits to it, no doubt. You can be able to take loan and buy your car, pay up a little upfront, and the other payments is based on your salaries or whatever it is that you've agreed with your creditors. So that's a fantastic thing, that people can then have access to housing, people can have access to cars or buy other things that they need for their essential, even for healthcare as well. But with all of this, there are also criticism. There are critics that are talking to the presidency that this is actually, you're putting a lot of people into pressure and you're putting a lot of people into debt. So now we talked about the petroleum subsidy. A lot of people are paying out of their pocket. You're talking about student loan. People still have to come and pay all this thing for a number of years. You're talking about credit scheme where people have to have debt piling up for them. Are we going to run into a debt economy when Nigerians are just, you owe a lot of money to your creditors, to the banks and some other agencies that are saddled with this responsibility of providing you with credit to purchase your things. So in the next 10 years, what are we looking at? Those are questions Nigerians are going to be asking.
Nigerians already have plenty of questions to ask, and trust me, this particular credit scheme is a very big question that they will have to answer for themselves. You know, before now, we've seen private companies, individuals carrying out this kind of schemes. I mean, I know that there are some companies where you can go buy a phone, make purchase of a phone, and you can pay in bits, you can pay in bits. It just extends across months, across a year or so, depending. So I don't know for now, I don't think we have the information about the time frame of how long this credit scheme is going to last. But I know that the government is now initiating what private individuals and private companies are doing. And it's coming from a place of, I am seeing the suffering of these people. But like you raised a very valid point. These people are suffering because they don't have access to the things they need to have access to. And now there is a loan scheme or a credit scheme that will allow them have access to good life. Because whether I like it or not, what a credit scheme does is that it gives a good life for a moment. At least it makes you afford the things that you should have. It allows you to, get on job, get on the things you need to do, buy them, and then pay when you can. But it's not just in Nigeria. I mean, we've seen credit scheme happening in the US. In other developed countries, it's been happening there. So seeing Nigeria bringing it back home, will I say it's a development? I mean, I want to tag it as a major development, but looking at the economic reality of Nigerians, I'm wondering, is this the kind of thing we need now? Or do we need to alleviate the suffering of the citizens first before bringing out this kind of thing or bringing up this kind of thing? These are the things that are bothering me, Wally.
Exactly, and just like you said, you've put it rightly. Do we need to look at different areas? First of all, perhaps you should start looking at the minimum wage. For instance, you've been at the gridlock between the different ministries and the labor parties and all of that. They are still debating on what exactly should be the national minimum wage. You've not looked at the prices of goods and services in the country, the prices of consumables, the prices of food, for instance, in the country, and the inflation that we have, double-digit inflation that we've had for so many years. And what exactly is that is being done to make sure that those things are put into the right place, to make sure Nigerians are getting the value for the little that they are getting. So you can't just take away all of that from the people and then you just pile up a credit plan so that you go and buy, even though you don't have money, you just keep buying and buying and you keep piling up your debts. You're piling up your debts. Maybe when you're 30 as a young person, maybe you buy, you collect student loan, you collect credit scheme, you collect a lot of different plans that they're bringing together. And at the end of the day, maybe you're 40 or 50, you're already owing, let's say, 50 million naira. How do you get to pay back? But
die from high blood pressure.
I mean, we can't tell. There's some people that will benefit from it, but still, it has to be worked on.
Exactly like you said. I mean, things need to be put in place before we start saying we need a credit scheme. Let's look at what other developed countries are doing. They already have good health care. They already have good roads. They have infrastructures in place. They have minimum wage. I mean, you're paid properly, and then you can say, okay, yes, with this credit scheme, I can go about my life comfortably. That's what we are looking at. But regardless, I mean, one step at a time.
Exactly.
So we'll just take the next story from the Tribune newspaper, where the federal government has revealed that only 20% of the candidates sitting for the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, might be offered admission into universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education across the country. The government is also contemplating a review of the current age requirement for entry into the institutions in the country, which is likely to be pegged at 18. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, made the disclosure in Abuja while monitoring the ongoing Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, alongside Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloyede. I hope I got the name right.
Yeah, Oloyede, yeah.
Oloyede, okay. We've been having this conversation about the age limit or the age bracket for students to get into higher institutions. And we've spoken about the pros and cons of this. Now, the federal government coming out to say that it might limit, that's a clause, right? It might limit admission to just 20%. I'm honestly worried, Wally. Are you saying that people meet up the cutoff point for getting into school and then they'll be deliberately denied of that entry just because there's a 20% benchmark? Why? Some can be 17, I know some could be 17 plus or 16 plus. And before now, I mean, we've looked at the realities in Nigeria where we've understood why some parents make their children to get into school at the age they do. Because a child gets into school at 18, the child is battling with ASU strike, If it's not ASU, it's NASU. The child finishes from NASU. The child comes back to hear that, oh, this job offer is only for people who are 23. And the child is already 25. And you're telling that child or the parents, no, don't send your child to school early. Wait till 18 before you send your child to school. And then, what are we saying?
Exactly.
What are we saying? 20% for people who are qualified doesn't seem like a good thing to me. Like a bad omen, actually.
Well, it doesn't seem so, but let's look at this thing from different perspectives. Just like you mentioned, some Nigerians, the 634 system that we work with, some Nigerians might disagree with it, that perhaps my child is just, I want my child to start at school as early as possible, maybe even before 1 year old, they're already in school and they are able to move on with life, finish the primary, get secondary, and then they move on to university at a very early age. Because just like you said, there are some jobs that would require you to be as young as 23, 22, or 25, below 30, let's even say. And if you look at the system that we run for people that attend private or public institutions in Nigeria, you have the issue of ASU striking, you have the issue of closure of schools or whatever it is that might cut down extend the time that students would have to be in the university, and that is not favorable to them because they still have 1 year service, compulsory service to the country. But that is on one side. On another side, perhaps the federal government are also right that you can't just be pushing minors into higher institutions. And if you look at the systems, perhaps even in private school, I've seen private school that students from primary 3, they're already doing their common entrance, which is not allowed. So those are the things that I think the government should sanction rightly. Because if you say this is the age that the students must come into the university, then at what age did the child finish their secondary school? You should look into that. If you say 18 years, then that means somebody below 17 or below 16 shouldn't be writing GCE or shouldn't be writing WAEC. So if you have somebody, let's say 14, 15, 16 years writing their WAEC, then how exactly do you want to delay them when they come to the time that they have to be in the university? So you have to look at schools that are cutting corners and allowing children as young as in classes of, let's say, primary 3 or primary 2 to go for their common entrance, or people in GS2 writing their junior Becker, or people in SS2, or I've seen as far as people in SS1 writing YA, which is not supposed to be. So there's a curriculum that the student must finish before they get to SS3 to be qualified to write that examination. Or for GC, which is for people that are not in uniform, students that are not in uniform are able to write those. So there are different scheme, different opportunities for you to write this at different age in your life. So that is already a given. But looking at this directive right now, that only 20% of this whole thousands of students that have applied for JAMB would get it, then what exactly are you telling us? If that is the case, then why don't you stop people from buying the JAMB form? Why should you go through the stress of buying the JAMB form, registering and writing the examination? Then when you're going through the circle, you're then told that you're not allowed into the university because of your age, what's it called? Limitation. So that's itself, I think it's an extortion that must be looked into. Another point that we must look into is, why must we write JAMB every year? If you write JAMB this year, you're not allowed into an institution. There was a time they were looking into having it 2 years or even 3 years. I think that ran for a year or so, and that was really caught up because
it didn't run. Because my sister who was in that bracket,
and that it didn't work. Are we saying that if WAEC itself can be lifelong, you can use it for an extended period of time? What exactly is hindering this? I don't think there's any argument itself that can defeat the responsibility or the children or students' ability to be able to make sure that whatever they've studied for this year is still in their head now. What I mean, it's perplexing.
I'm telling you, Wale, if you ask somebody who wrote WAEC 10 years ago to come and write WAEC, you'll be surprised that it's not the same head you used that time.
It's not.
Life responsibilities, life happens, and you've outgrown that age. I'm not saying you've not been intelligent. You might be able to answer the questions, but trust me, it can't be 100% anymore.
But you had that age, even within a year or two, it's still acceptable.
Yes,
it should still be acceptable for people because a lot of Nigerians are spending money, and JAMB is raking in billions of naira from this.
See, I can tell you something. I know someone who wrote JAMB 2 years ago. She got 250. She wrote the second time, she got 240. She wrote this year. Okay, she'll be writing this year. I don't know what she was going to be having. So you see that there's a depreciation happening. And what do you think that's causing it? When I spoke to her, she was telling me that she doesn't know. I mean, she meets the cutoff mark, which is 180, but she doesn't get the admission. So there are a lot of things to be looked at, no matter how we look at it, because these are people's brain we are dealing with. We don't want to risk children or young people getting into depression just because we are making regulations. We need to put too many things. I feel like sometimes we make laws or we just go overboard with things and then we start looking at the consequences later on. It shouldn't be. We should have thought over all of these things before, coming up with, oh, there's a 20% benchmark, these things expect that this. No, inform people early. I know that point you raised about how some parents rush their children. I agree. There are parents who have even, if it was possible, they'll have a child at 1 month old studying in primary school. And it's wrong. I mean, you want to look at the psychological effect that has on your child. You want to look at how that your child will develop emotionally. If you're going to take critical look at these things, it doesn't all go well. But then everybody has a part to play. That's all I have to say, Wale. Everybody has a part to play. The government shouldn't take us by surprise with all of these regulations, please.
Exactly. And also we should begin to look at the capacity of our universities as well, because this might be just a back channel to look for ways to reduce the number of people that might be seeking admission into schools, but we don't know. But if you can increase the capacity of students, I'm sure Nigeria has one of the fantastic schools in West Africa or Africa for that matter. But if you look at this, how many students can gain admission into public funded institutions in Nigeria? And now we're looking at providing student loan, where most of the funding is being pushed to the students and say you have to pay for your education yourself. So all those things are things that we need to look at to make sure that you don't. The question, it's just baffling to me that we have to go through all of this and then they come out to start talking about unemployment in the country, and it's just from one problem to another. Can we stop having issues even before we start having the bigger ones? But that's the conversation, it's unending. And now we have to move on to our last story for today. This coming from a leadership newspaper. MultiChoice increases prices of GoTV and DSTV subscription. Pay TV operator MultiChoice Nigeria Limited has announced another price increment across its DSTV and GoTV packages effective May 1, 2024. The company attributed the price increase to rise in the cost of business operations in Nigeria, according to notice signed by MultiChoice CEO John Ube and sent to its subscribers and customers via email on Wednesday, a copy of which was cited by our correspondents. The new prices for DSTV packages, a premium package, will now cost 37,000 naira monthly, as against the current 29,500 naira subscription fee. I think I will have to stop here and start with a premium price for a premium package for DSTV spec at 37,000 naira, as against 29,500 naira it was. And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at a minimum wage in in Nigeria. I mean, it's not a funny situation, but it's baffling that we have means of enjoyment, means of entertainment. Even if these people are not going for the premium price, it says something about what exactly is wrong with the economics of this country, because it defies all norms, it defies all economic principles. Everything that we're doing is always going against it, and we're looking at exactly what is being done. If we have prices of even things such as entertainment that would calm down the nerves of Nigeria, you've gone out in the day, you've had problem with what's it called, fuel hike, you've had to haggle and hustle with at the market to get food. You have to come back home to look at, okay, I need to put on generator because the price is now hiked in electricity, or I can't even buy fuel to generate power in my house. And all of this, you just want to settle down and relax and enjoy your only time. And now this price has been increased. This is too much for Nigerians to handle. I can't even understand it in any way. I think what's it called? The National Assembly has to look into this, and also the presidency, to engage these people in dialogue and have conversation with MultiChoice. It's now the right time, because a lot of things are just hike. I can't understand how Nigerians are living right now. It's perplexing, the situation we are being dropped into.
It's sad, Wale. I'm thinking, our lawmakers, the powers that be, do they exist in this same economy? Because it's almost like anybody wakes up, decides to do anything. And yes, I mean, some of them are, DSTV is right for doing this, because they'll tell you it is economic reality we are facing. It's hitting everybody. But I'm wondering, we have lawmakers. It is not going up. The lawmakers are watching us, powers that be are watching us, and all of these things are happening. And the one time, like Wale has said, the common man has to relax from the day's job, from, battling with everything in life. That power is also almost taken away. Because tell me how the price moves from 29,500
to 37,000.
37. That is a lot. How are people going to cope? So will I leave buying Gary that is now 250 a cup to go get? Hey God, please.
I mean, I can't just understand it, but I just feel that
where are we headed as a country?
Where are we heading? Where are we heading? I think that's a fantastic question we must ask ourselves, because if we have all of these things against the sustainability, the quality of life, because it's attacking our quality of life. If you have everything against, you have this just small away, and everything is just pulling and tearing it off you even before the end of the month. A lot of people are running into debt already before the end of the month, and now we're bringing this
did you say
social
before
credit.
The end? The second day after salary, people are going into debt. The second day, I mean, I heard someone, a civil servant, who said that before his salary drops, it's already splitted into debts. So he's almost left empty. It's like he's working just to survive. It's no longer, you're not working to live, you're only working to survive. And that is the reality of many Nigerians. And again, are our powers that be seeing all of this? Are the lawmakers seeing all of this? Are they cool with it? Is there any way forward?
That's the question we have to leave to them, because the only thing we can do is to talk and remind them that their responsibility, they must live up to it to make sure that Nigerians are having the best life that they can. Well, best is relative right now, because I can't really define what is a quality life.
At least a fair life. At least a fair life. Access to quality, good water, access to education, access to even good roads. I mean, that's barely what we're asking for. Those are basic things, but it's so sad that we don't even have them. And now we are waking up to tariff in light when Tanzania is already saying their light is enough. They're looking for how to cut it down. No.
I think don't let us go to we can't go to that.
We have to continue this conversation tomorrow. We have to. And so we call it a wrap today. Join us tomorrow for another exciting edition. My name is Chinatu Oji, and I've had
Adewale Olashopo. It's been good having you.
I was saying bye.